One of the most difficult things to do generally is calibrate to the current environment, right? So here we are in options expiration, and today is its own little bubble. But on Monday, we get to sort of move OPEX into the background. We worry about, the third Friday of May, and we'll get to do this all over again. However, between now and then, the reality is during earnings season, the 3 weeks between financials being released, right? Between financials being released to tech, right? Is the heart, if you will, is the main impact of the season. So it's really, the season is about really 3 weeks. And then the rest of earnings season is going to be a number of high concentration weighted stocks in the Dow, in the S&P, and the Nas, which can, based on outsized moves with earnings, affect the indices and affect those important sectors. Right now, again, as a reminder, the sectors that we're talking about, the indices that we're talking about those heavily weighted sectors, right? XLK, FV, etc. XL, that should be C. Okay. So the bulk of it's now. So what do we do now? It makes sense to focus on the 1 hour for swings. And I'll do the swings with the daily price movement range for a 1 to say 3 day time horizon. What does that mean? I'm going to focus on trades that can go 1 to 3 days. So definitely overnight exposure. Okay. And or day trade. In other words, all day trade means, again, is flat by day's end. That's it. The strategies that we all use are what separates one day trader from the next. And for me, it's a day trade, preferably using hourly price movement ranges. And all that means is I'm going to be, flat by, as far as time horizon goes, all that means is flat by day's end. All right, flat by day's end. That's what's going to work in these 3 weeks. And remember, May 3 is FOMC. May 4 is Apple earnings. Okay, that's what we have coming up. So between now and then, it's going to make sense to shorten the time horizon. Don't expect a lot of longer term follow through. And this adjustment is going to be really, really important. So if someone asks, okay, Rag, just move the daily chart aside. For the most part, yes, because remember, the DPMRs that I would see on the 1 hour are the same DPMRs that I'm going to see on the 1 hour chart, right? They're going to be the same exact zones that I plotted on the daily are going to be on the 1 hour. But the 1 hour gives us a lot more flexibility because we're going to see a lot more transitions through the market trends on a 1 hour chart. And that's going to be a lot of the reason why the time horizon is 1 to 3 days. So a lot of the adaptations we need to make, if we're concerned about follow through, if we're concerned about these massive events looming and are concerned for follow through on a daily time frame for days or weeks, is really, really uncertain. Like, we're not expecting it at all. Shorten the time horizon, shorten the time frame. And just that is going to make a huge difference in the number of trades we get. We're going to have more frequent trades, but it's also going to make a difference in our time exposure, how long we're in them. So these are things that I think, as we are, wrapping up OPEX for April, as we're, about just over halfway through April, 2/3 of the way through April, what are some of the things we can do between now and that first week of May? And not for nothing, when we get to May, then we get our non-farm payroll. Right? First week of May, we're going to get our non-farm payroll, another massively important macroeconomic data release. So these are the kind of adjustments that make a lot of sense to make right now. And it may not be, okay, trade this and trade that. It may be more along the lines of, by the way, am I bullish on the NASDAQ? Yes, absolutely. Am I bullish on the S&P? I am. But what I need to do to say I'm bullish is not synonymous with let's get long, right? So a lot of people say, oh, well, you're bullish. Right, I am. But bullish is not the same thing as I have a trade. The trade is going to happen somewhere down in here. The trade on the 5-minute would happen somewhere down in here. Yes? So I can be bullish and I can have a directional bias, but that doesn't mean I can get long from where we are right now. We've got to still wait for those setups. Yes? And so if part of the process now is to say, okay, I don't have to change my strategy. I don't have to change my indicators. I just need to change my time frame and my time horizon expectations. Yeah? I think that that's going to help us deal with what we're having to do right now. So I think the DPMRs on the 1 hour, for those of you that have them, are going to be the best bet. However, take a look at the NASDAQ. Are these volatile markets? They're not. If the volatility drops, so should organically our trading activity. So if you're looking for a very active trade style through this, we would be forcing trades. Why? Again, this is normal volatility. This is very normal volatility. And yet you can see how little movement we're getting. So this is where the strategy very naturally reduces our activity. And that's important. That's really important. Okay. And then if you're dealing with chop, say on a 1 hour chart of the NASDAQ, and you see these yellow zones on the multi, then that means you can take a look at the sector slow stow and find when we are overbought or oversold, right? But take a look. Since the 13th, and a signal on the slow stochastic does not mean it's a trade, but since the 13th, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities since the 13th. So in the last week, 7 chances at maybe a setup, not 7 setups, 7 chances at a setup. We'll have even fewer actual setups than the 7. And those are things that I think if you just accept, and when traders say trading is waiting, you know that they know what they're talking about, because the patience is what most traders are lacking. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.